Hello, I'm Robin Vincent and welcome to Molten Modular. Last night was the first time ever that I played live with my modular, just this rig here. And now, of course, I'm a bleeding expert. And so I would like to share with you my top tips from all of the masses of 10 minutes worth of experience I have from playing live, just while it's still fresh and raw in my mind. In no particular order. Number one, bring a light. It's dark. You can't see. I mean, this is twinkling and stuff, but you can't actually see. You can't see the individual knobs because lots of knobs are sort of black on black with really sort of interesting dull writing. You can't see. Also, you're not like this. You know, you're not sat at it looking, oh, yeah, really good. You tend to be up here like this, and there's other lights and you're going, what? Where is it? What? So bring a light, perhaps. There are little gooseneck lights you can have sitting up thing just to light it, just so that you can see stuff. Number two, it's going to sound different. I mean, if you can hear anything at all, you're going to be in a noisy environment. It's going to go through a PA. There may be monitoring. There may not be monitoring. It may be going out of speakers over there somewhere and you're not really been able to hear much at all. So it will sound different to how it was when you practiced it. Completely different. To the point that you're not even sure what you're really hearing. Are you hearing the right? Was that what I... But hang on, I'm not really hearing that. And then you get confused and you're thinking, oh, well, maybe I haven't. Oh, no, it's not. Oh, it's muted. No, I haven't turned. Oh, my goodness. You quickly cascade into this situation where you have no idea what you're doing or whether what you are doing is making sense or coming out, and you're spending all your time twiddling this knob here and you've no idea whether that's making any noise, or you suddenly turn something else on and that's really, really loud and you weren't expecting that. So little subtleties and those nuances that you are hoping to bring, I mean, you could probably forget most of that and concentrate on large contrasts, big contrasts, because PAs are very varied and you can't expect it to be a studio quality sound. So there's a couple of thoughts on that. First of all, maybe take some headphones. I did take some headphones just so I could make sure it was running before I plugged it into the desk, but they were nowhere near loud enough for me to monitor in the actual situation. But so maybe a little headphone amp just for yourself, earbuds or something, because you've no idea what sound equipment is going to be there when you get there. So maybe it's best to have that sort of thing sorted out for yourself. Or is that wise? Because then you're not necessarily hearing what they're hearing. And is that important? And also, you don't want to cut yourself off from the audience. You want to be able to gauge a little bit of reaction, if possible. Do you? Well, these are questions. And as a tip, what would I say? I don't know. Just be aware that it will sound different. Don't be floored by that. Don't be messed up by that. And you're just going to have to go with it. Tip number three, keep your patch cables loose and floppy. Because, I had this brilliant idea like 20 minutes before I left. As I was packing this up, I thought, because I had all these cables, they're all trailing over here, trailing over there, ridiculous, like this patch to that with an enormous cable, and it was everywhere. So I thought, wow, genius, right? I'm gonna slim it down. I'm gonna reroute the cables, use smaller cables, tighten it all up so that first of all it fits in the box, fits in my bag better, looks better, looks nicer, it's not trailing everywhere. And I thought, wonderful, great. But then when I got there and I want to then tweak the filter knob, which is all you really do really as a modular performer, I'm going, oh, I couldn't get in. And so I'm trying to fight a way into this knob. I'm in here and it's really tight and I can't get to it. And then I want to twiddle with this. That's all right up here. But then I need to get to all of my mute buttons here, my mute on. And I'm going, oh my goodness, I can't get in there. And then I can't, where the heck is that 2 HP plug? So tight cables, looks neat, but it's a performance disaster. Next time, everything, it's going to be huge loops of cables going out around the place so that they're out of the way, so that I have access to my gear. So yeah, loose cabling I would highly recommend. Tip number 4, lay it flat. Don't have this kind of arrangement, because what became immediately obvious to me was I put this down on a table. We had a table in order to perform, and all that everybody else is seeing as I put this down is this. That's all they get. I mean, how interesting is that? No, there has to be another way. Now, thinking about it, you could install a huge mirror. You know, always travel with a great big full-length mirror with you that you can put up on a stand that people can look at, or you can use video, projectors, cameras, that kind of malarkey in order for people to see it, because this is interesting. It's fascinating. I mean, particularly because it's dark and there's flashing lights and there's stuff going all over the place and you're moving things. It's fascinating to watch. It should be. So do you then sit or stand with your back to the audience and play? See, that doesn't seem right either. Sideways, maybe? Yeah, but I think ideally what you need is a flat box, a flat case. You know, something more like a suitcase, but not one that you open up, you have something here and here, because again, you run into the same problem. You just want a flat box so that it's sat on the table so that you can see it and do your thing, but also the audience can see it to a degree. I mean, if you're up on a stage and they're all down in the mosh pit, then that's a whole different experience. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a flipping pub gig. And in that situation, it's on a table, people are standing around in the bar drinking, and they can see all of this going on and they can see all of the lights. So yeah, a flat case, flat Eurorack case is what I'm saying. And I think that's something I'm seriously going to be looking into, probably making my own one, you know, out of bits of old board, maybe 3 rows of 84. Something like that. This is 2 rows of 104. Don't know. Interesting. New project. But yeah, lay it flat so that people can see the wonder of the Eurorack. Otherwise, sort of, why bother? Because people aren't going to make the connection between the music they're hearing and what's going on. And I think that's important. I think that connection is important. 5. Is this number 5? Realise how small and fiddly Eurorack is. Now, it's small and fiddly for a reason. It keeps the cost down, it keeps the space down. All those things are really good. In live performance, this is similar to my tip about not being able to see, needing a light, is that it is all really small. Particularly when you're stood up here and you're going, oh, I'm just going to tweak this. I mean, bloody 2HP. I think they make some great stuff, but it's too weeny. Trying to get in there to that damping on the plug, was just a disaster. And then, of course, I mean, this is all a combination of things. The fact that everything's all tightly patched made that difficult to get in. The light made that difficult to get in. The fact that I can't exactly hear what is what made that difficult to know exactly what to do. And then it's also small and it's also fiddly. So you have to, I think, design the layout to give you access to the things that you want. I mean, I put this together in a very logical way. I've got sequencer, quantizer, 2 rows, 2 sequencers, 2 quantizers, 2 oscillators, and then filter, modulation, delay, effects, that kind of thing. It's in a very normal, traditional sort of signal chain kind of way. And that pleased me, no end. But is that actually practical? I mean, the fact that I've got my mute on right in the middle here, so my mute's on and off, perhaps that needs to be on an edge over here. Maybe that would make more sense, because then I can access the buttons better. Maybe I need to get some of those right angle tendrils for the outputs on here. Maybe that would help sort the cables out, because it's small and fiddly. So I think that when you practice, when you play, you probably don't want to be like this close. If you're looking to do it in live performance, you want to be further away and to get used to feeling your way around a little bit more. That brings me to a controversial number 6. Rehearse. Rehearse? Rehearse. Or not? I don't know. I'm going to put this one out there because I did a fair bit of practice. Well, at least I ran through it about 4 or 5 times, I think. I mean, I did it on video. You can go watch a video of me rehearsing, and that's fine. But there's something in that. There's something about that which I think is important to wrestle with, to decide for yourself what's necessary to make this work, because there's a question of learning your instrument. I see this very much as an instrument that I need to learn, and I am learning it, continually learning it and learning it. But there's an element where I don't want to be so practiced that I'm creating the same piece of music every time, because I actually don't want to do that. I want every time that I sit down and play to be different, to be a different performance, to be improvisational, to be accidental, to have things that emerge that I wasn't necessarily expecting or even meaning, but stuff just comes out. And I feel that if I'm too rehearsed, then that will go against that. So you need an element of newness, an element of coming to it for the first time. You need an element of that to inject a certain amount of fear and sort of edge of your seat frighteningness about the whole affair, because I think that's important. I think that brings something to the performance. I mean, at the same time as doing your head in, it could also give an edge to things that perhaps you weren't expecting, and it allows you the potential of doing something awesome. It also, of course, it gives you the potential of doing something a bit crap. But that's okay. It's just a live performance. You're doing what you do. And I feel if it's over-rehearsed, if it's over-practiced, if you have everything marked out exactly how you're going to do it, then there's something less in that. I think you're somehow cheating the audience in that. Now, because when you go and see a virtuoso violinist or guitarist or something like that, you're expecting a certain level of performance. When you're coming to see Electronica Night, who knows what's going to be going on? There would probably just be a guy with his phone on an app going and something with noise boxes. So the expectations are different. And that's okay, because the expectations of modular, I think, are more to do with interesting sounds than it is to do with, wow, what a polished and superb virtuoso performance that was. I don't think that's the vibe we're going for. And so you can take those elements of risk, take those elements of excitement and discovery and bring them to your live performance. I think that's really important. So coming back to the tip of rehearsing, practice, yeah, sure, get the hang of things, get to know where stuff is, but don't have an absolute plan. Have a general idea, verse, chorus, maybe, I'm going to do a bit of this and I'm going to do a bit of that, but don't tie it down so that you have no room to breathe, no room to move, no room for fear, because you need the fear. You need it. It's bloody frightening. I mean, I've been performing for years and years, singing on guitar, performing, public speaking, running events, bits and pieces, loads of that. And every time I am scared out of my mind, I am frightened. But that's part of it. That's part of the exhilaration. That's part of the awesomeness of it, is the overcoming somehow of these fears, the defeating of these fears. Not that they are gone away, but you are dealing with it. And I think that's part and parcel of the whole live performance thing. Which brings me to tip number 7, is that they don't know. The people watching, the crowd, the audience, the interested people who are drinking at the bar, who might just about be listening to you, they don't know what it's supposed to sound like. So you can't possibly disappoint them. I mean, they may not like it. That's fine. They may not like the music or whatever it is you're doing. That's fine. But you're not going to let them down, because they've no idea what it was supposed to sound like. No idea at all. So in all the mess, in all the confusion, in all the, oh my goodness, I did that backwards and I turned the wrong one on and I brought that in too quick, they're never going to know. It just is what it is. And you have to go with that. I mean, there were moments last night that I just flushed up in complete embarrassment, because I'd known I'd done something completely wrong. I mean, when I brought the Simulus Artellitus alter into the mix, it was suddenly huge. I mean, everything was going along nice and smooth, and this came in, it's like, oh my goodness. And what I discovered was that I had turned this down by using CV out of the maths into the Muton there to turn down a little bit, because it was louder than everything else in the rig. But when I had rewired it to take out the long cables, I'd rewired it wrong, and I'd actually applied that to another one. But then I was looking at the Muton thinking to myself, yeah, I've done that wrong. That doesn't have that channel there, that's the Basimilus, and it doesn't have the cable going into CV input. But is that the one or is that the one? Suddenly my mind flipped and I had no idea which channel was which, what anything was going to anything. And I go, oh my God! And I'm muting things in and out and stuff, trying to work that out. And eventually I could pull a cable out of another channel thinking, what's going to happen if I do that? And then plug that back into the bassimolar. So I was able to get it a little bit more under control. But at that point, panic, bam! You know, it just hits you splat in the face and you're heating up. You're already hot. I mean, it's sweltering up there playing and you know, you're hot, you're embarrassed, you can't believe what's going on, you can't get it right, everything is just falling apart all around you. They haven't the faintest idea. They're sitting there with a beer and chugging away going, ooh, this is at least I think so. I heard some murmurings about things. So what I'm trying to say is that no matter how wrong it goes, they're not going to know. They're not going to know. So go with it. Ride with it. Don't be afraid of it. I'm speaking to myself here that I have to realize that it's okay and to not get knocked sideways by that. Somehow work it out or work with it. Go with it. I don't know, whichever mechanism you need to use in order to keep going and to keep performing and to just smile and go with it because they don't know. They have no idea of the stress you're going through at that particular point. Tip number 8 then would be to stay around, to listen to other people's sets, listen to other people's music, if that's the kind of gig that you're at. If you've just done your bit, you clear up and you sort of clear off, I think that's a shame. You need to stay around. You need to talk to people if you're able to. I'm not always great at that. I try at that. I'm a bit sort of shy. But just stay around. Talk to people. Encourage other people. Say to other people, that was great. Because more often than not, it is in any context. So stick around, support the other people that are playing and talk to people. And the likelihood is that you might get a compliment back because that's kind of key. We don't realize it, but we're ultimately, I think, after one thing, and that's for someone to say, that was great. That's all you want because that turns all of that turmoil, all of that fear, all of that horrendous and horror that's inside you when you're trying to perform and it's not quite going exactly as you planned it to, that turns all of that into just flowers and moonlight and unicorns. And that's what you need. And if you need that, then other people probably need it too. Don't assume that everyone else has a completely sorted out ego and is completely secure in themselves. No, everyone else is as self-conscious and is probably feeling just as useless as you do. But you didn't notice that, of course, because you don't know. You don't know how bad their thing went because you're hearing it for the first time. So say nice things to other people too, and you may get one back because you know that you need it, and so you assume that they need it too. And there's no harm in that. Even if you're lying through your teeth because you thought the whole thing was complete rubbish, it doesn't really matter because these are people doing their thing, playing their music, and it would be really good if you encouraged that in them and said that was awesome, and they could say that back to you, and the whole thing then gets elevated to this place of heavenness, you know, just for a few moments, and then you go back through your set thinking, oh no, that really was rubbish. So there you go, there's 8 tips for you. Now this is going to change. I mean, over time, hopefully I get to do this more often and I get better at it, because last night was hard. I mean, it was weird. Everything was so different to how I kind of expected it, which is stupid because I've done a lot of stage work, a lot of front of people in pubs work, you know, but every time it's a bit sort of crappy and weird and strange and not like you thought it was. I think when you're relying on yourself, when you're singing or playing a guitar perhaps, then you know it is what it is and that's what you've got, and you give that out, and in the fear of the moment you sing harder than you've ever sung before. With machines it's different. I can't tweak the cutoff harder than I've ever done before. It's a different mindset. There's different things going on in your head, and it is a process, and it is something that you're trying to complete and trying to do and trying to be creative with, but it's a different way of doing it. And the live situation, I think, has all sorts of negative implications. The lighting, the noise, the sound, what you can hear, what you can't hear, what you can see, the fiddling, being far away from it. All of these factors make it more difficult to perform, I think, with the modular situation. That's why, I mean, you see a lot of people doing modular in the park and these little laid back ambient jams. And those are great because you sit with your modular, you know, sit on the floor and you just play over hours. And that's great because that's cool and that's nice and you're close to it and you're involved in doing what you're doing. And that's a really great way to perform, I think, with modular. Sticking you on a stage just after a DJ who's been banging some stuff out, and then somebody else who's going to sing along with a pocket operator and a few bits and pieces and some noise machines. You know, all of those are awesome things, and you're just stuck in the middle for 10 minutes going, it's you know, it's manic. But that is the nature of live performance often. And if you want to get out there, if you want to test yourself, challenge yourself, get your music out there, get yourself known, or just be part of that social world and enjoy the fear, enjoy the exhilaration, the adrenaline, and who knows what comes out of this live performance lark. I don't know. So there you have it. There are my pro tips from someone who's been a modular performer for all of 10 minutes. Those are the tips I think you need. And I mean, overall, last night, it was great. There were some great acts on. Some great bit of synth pop singing going on. Some guy, as I say, with little boxes and bits and pieces, and he sang along with those as well. There was a little bit of instrument stuff. There's some DJ stuff, which was all right. You know, somehow there's not the same expectation or the same element of being on the edge when people are DJing. I don't know, maybe they do. I don't know. But the other performers, it was great. It was great fun. I had some really nice comments, which is brilliant, and those are always appreciated. And did it go how I expected? Absolutely not. No, not a sausage like I expected it to, but I did it. And I got in there and I made some noises, and it went and it did, and I stopped and I left. So yeah, chalk it down. Let's do it again. I mean, the best thing of the night was Bill. He's the guy who runs the Norwich Synth Meet, and he had an 808 and a 303. I think it's a TR8, funny enough, and a 303, a bass line. And it was flipping amazing. He just had a couple of patterns that's going on, a bit of this. Fabulous. And something occurred to me during that, which was that I think one of the beauties of doing just an acid set with 808 noises and a 303 bass line is that it works with any PA. Doesn't matter how crap your PA is, that doom, boom, doom, doom, and that cuts through. It just cuts through. And I think perhaps that's one of the reasons why it's been so good, why it's been so effective and continues to be so effective, is because it cuts through any old crappy PA and sounds good, and it makes you smile and you just go, yeah, this is fantastic. So he did a great job, an absolute great job on that. And it makes me think about this, that perhaps, as I said earlier, nuance and subtlety, maybe that's not such a thing. Maybe you need to consider that, the quality of the PA and what is actually going to be heard. And maybe you need better separation between things, frequency range, like high stuff, low stuff, mid stuff. Those are things that I hadn't thought about previous to it. When putting together this piece of music that I played on this, all I did was patch a few things together and see what happened. I didn't create a sequence, I just patched the sequencer into the oscillator and twiddled a few knobs to see what came out, and then thought, that's good, I'll keep that bit, add something else to it, keep that bit, run it through some effects. It just evolved out of itself. I had no plan. I wasn't thinking, I'm going to need this and need that and need the other. It just sort of came together, and I changed a few bits and off I went. So maybe next time when I come back to it, I perhaps want to give a little bit more thought to what can be heard, and can I emphasize some things more and less, cut more out, bring more in, more light and shade. I don't know. Maybe. Anyway, I'm going to, hopefully, before I take this apart, do some kind of recording of it, just so people can have it and see what it was, more or less, that I kind of sort of did, because I don't think anyone took any video of me that night. I certainly didn't. I was too scared. I managed to take one photo. You'll find that on Instagram. But other than that, that's all it was. That'll do. There you go. So that's my first gig. That's all my tips, as I say, from my masses of experience. Take those for what they are. It's just my gut reaction to what I experienced last night, and I hope to experience it a lot more. So yeah, go and play live. It'll bring you to an early grave, and that's what we want. And in the meantime, go make some tunes. So let me play you out with some of the nonsense that I did. A bit like this.